We're here at Nordic Business Forum in Helsinki. I'm here with Dr. Peter Diamandis, who is the chairman and the CEO of X Prize. You're also a co-author of several books. If you're at a cocktail party and you have to present yourself and explain what you do, what do you say?
I say I'm your friend.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
so nice.
So I'm an entrepreneur. I've started 17 companies, mostly in the space business, but some in the medical business. Today, I'm actively engaged in running 5. The X Prize Foundation that puts up these large cash prizes. We've launched $120 million worth of prizes, another $100 million coming online. And these are challenging people around the world to solve problems, not to write PowerPoints or talk about it, but actually build technology that solves a problem. You win the prize. I run a university. I'm executive director of a university called Singularity University in the Bay Area that focuses on teaching exponential technologies to executives. I'm the executive chairman, co-founder of a company called Planetary Resources that's building these deep space drones that will go to near-Earth asteroids to prospect them for fuels and metals. And then I'm also the co-founder and vice chairman of something called Human Longevity that's working to extend the healthy human lifespan. We built the largest genome sequencing facility in the world. I do venture investing, I do speaking. I'm a dad of 2 5-year-old kids.
So you have a lot on your plate.
I'm having fun.
That's good. So most people say resources are scarce and getting scarcer, and we're scared of climate change and terrorism and dwindling resources. But you say we could have a future of abundance.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So the fact of the matter is resources are not scarce. They're not even close to being scarce. And people's perspectives are skewed for a number of reasons. So I want you to imagine, I'll give you the analogy of abundance, which is imagine you have an orange tree. And I have gone around and I've plucked all of the oranges from the branches I can reach, and all of a sudden I say, oh my God, oranges are scarce. Until I develop a piece of technology called a ladder that gives me higher reach. And they're abundant all of a sudden. So what happens is technology is constantly taking what used to be scarce and making it abundant. Another example, people talk about energy scarcity, or, the earth is bathed in 8,000 times more energy from the sun than we consume as a species. If we could capture 1/8,000th of the energy from the sun, we could power the planet. And then the next year, if we double that, we have twice as much, and 4 and 8, and all of a sudden we have a squanderable abundance of energy. And so if you look at energy, solar energy, it's growing exponentially as the price is also dropping very rapidly. And if you have abundant energy, you've got abundant clean water. As a planet, we are 2/3 covered in water, right? It's the blue planet, right? The problem is that 97.5% of it is salt, 2% is ice, and we fight over 0.5%. But if you've got abundant energy, you can turn salt water into drinkable water. One of the X Prizes we're launching is for large-scale desal. Another is for taking water out of the humidity. All of India is humid enough where you could actually extract water from the humidity and give a family 20 liters of clean drinking water. So it's a matter of changing perspective.
Do you feel like you're an ambassador of hope because we all go around being all negative? And
I do. I'm trying to counter the news media. Sorry that you're part of that news media, but probably the better part of it. We are living in a time where I call the news media a drug pusher. And their drug is negative news. And because we as humans pay 10 times more attention to negative news than positive news. And so if you want to deliver, a viewer's eyeballs to your advertisers, if you put only good news up, people get bored and walk away. Too bad for us. But we're genetically engineered. Our brains pay 10 times more attention to negative news because millions of years ago that would save your life. Today, it just keeps you glued to the crisis news network, or whatever you call CNN.
How do you think companies are going to change in the future, or how will they be forced to change?
Well, I think we're starting to change companies in a number of ways. I think companies are going to become smaller and more agile. Companies like GE, which have 340,000 employees. Oh my God, how do you handle that kind of situation? It used to be that you would get everybody into a company because the transaction cost of getting people to work together, if they weren't inside the same company, you'd have NDAs and legal agreements and so forth, and it was just too high. But today we've got this sharing economy and we've got crowdsourcing where I can get access to intelligent people anywhere on the planet and pay them for the information they provide me. So the transactional costs are dropping. So I think companies are going to become smaller. They're going to become more globally distributed. They're going to become more on demand than ever before.
You were talking about robotics and AI. How is that going to affect the labor market? I just read about this new company called Savioki. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but that's in Silicon Valley, and they have robots that work as a room service in some of the hotels in Cupertino and San Jose. And so when you order a burger and a bottle of wine, then it'll
Little robot
I don't
brings
know.
it up
I
to
don't know
you.
what it looks like. R2D2 or something.
Yeah,
will
roughly.
like roll up to your room,
Yeah.
and so what's going to happen to especially like low skill jobs in the
So
future?
listen, there's no question that we are going to replace low-skill jobs with AI and robots. That's happened and is happening. But I know the numbers in the United States. In the United States, it used to be that 80% of Americans at one point, probably 150 years ago, were farmers, right? And then came the great decimation, where we're now 2% farmers. So those, 78% farmers aren't unemployed. They went on to do other things. And the same thing is going to happen where we're going to take people who lose their jobs. They're no longer collecting tolls or cleaning toilets or stacking boxes. Robots are doing that now. And hopefully we'll upgrade them to things that they truly want to do versus things that they are due. Something that was recently done in the United States, it was an organization called Gallup that takes polls. 70% of Americans hate their jobs. They don't love their jobs. They're doing it because it pays the bills, it gives them insurance, it puts food on their table. So what happens when all of a sudden people can actually do what they love? So we're going to have changes in society, right? Finland and Canada and other places are working with guaranteed minimum income. I think we're going to start to see this happening more and more. I think that people are going to begin to merge with technology where you're working with AI or robots to do something that you've always wanted to do, that you're more passion-driven than before. So the fact is the world is changing rapidly.
But society needs and governments need to somehow react to that. What would you need to do about education?
Yeah, so education, the educational system we have today is awful. Obviously Finland is much better than 99% of the world. But having said that, we're heading towards a world where the best education is going to be available to the poorest child and the wealthiest child. It's complete democratization. Today, if you're a billionaire living in Manhattan, you can get access to the best schools, and maybe you'll go to MIT or Harvard. And if you're a child of a peasant in Tanzania, there's no hope. You barely could learn to read or write, and we have a billion illiterate people on the planet Earth. But where we're going is a world where artificial intelligence will become the best teacher. An AI will understand your passions, your language skills, knew what you did today, can give you an example, and basically can become your customized teacher better than any human teacher ever. And that AI will be available to the poorest child and the wealthiest child the same. At the X Prize, we have something called our Global Learning X Prize. It's a $15 million prize funded by Elon Musk that is a prize that is for a team who develops a piece of software that can operate on a tablet or a phone that can take a child in the middle of no place in Tanzania from illiteracy to reading, writing, and numeracy in 18 months on their own, without literate adults, without schools. And so we're about to transform education. The same thing is going to happen in healthcare.
You say a successful future depends on innovational freedom. Now, part of that is probably these prizes, but how would you tell managers to kind of infiltrate that into the company DNA?
Yeah, it's a really important question, and there's actually a great answer. It's just most managers and most companies are deaf to it. It's called constant and rapid experimentation. So to start at the top and then work backwards, my friends at Google and my friends at Uber, these companies have massive cultures of experimentation. They are trying hundreds, probably north of 1,000 experiments per year on products and services. They're trying things and killing them very rapidly. Google X, now called X, run by Teller, they talk about doing pre-mortems on ideas. They'll try ideas, they'll talk about them, and they'll even try and kill them before they launch them. And if you launch an idea and you kill it, people celebrate. What you want to do is create a culture inside your company that anyone can try experiments on new products and services and kill them without worrying, where failure is not only okay, it's celebrated as learning. And so if you create a culture where you hire amazing people, you put them into a culture that supports them, and you give them the ability to rapidly accelerate hundreds of times, thousands, they will eventually bump into something that's great. The old way of doing it is the manager says, I think this would be a great product. Let's try this. You may or may not be right. So it's important to be trying a lot of things early.
I know you've said the more important than technology and income is mindset, which is kind of what we talked about. But what would you say has been the key to your success?
Oh, I think it's been mindset driven by passion. I have been driven by my passions since my childhood for space. It drove me to be curious. It drove me to learn. It drove me to work hard. It is this unreachable goal of, opening the cosmos. And so you can never reach there, so you're constantly striving. But it's fun. I have a blast. I wake up every morning and I'm like so happy to be alive. I mean, for God's sakes, I'm working on extending the healthy lifespan of humans and mining asteroids. How cool is that? It's like, it's crazy. And so mindset is important. And believe me, it's insane what I'm working on, right? It's crazy. There's a great chance none of the stuff will ever work, but I love it and I do it and I proclaim that's where I'm going, that's what I'm going to do, and I work my butt off and I refuse to give up, and I fail constantly until I succeed.
Thank you very much, Peter Diamandis.
A pleasure.